For those of you experiencing higher levels of harassment, how does it work? A mystery indeed, yes? How do all these things come together? It is a symphony. I've listened to several different testimonies. I've watched a lot of different channels. In fact, I just watched someone's video yesterday, and they were trying to figure out how all these things could work together. And, you're talking about people of various, ethnicities. You're talking about people separated by age and gender, all kinds of things. And, when you look at the world, you see that people are separated. They have different beliefs. They have different lifestyles. They like different flavors of ice cream. But it doesn't seem to matter when it comes to harassment. It seems like somehow, some way, all these people, they seem to be working in conjunction together. And I've talked about before how this mystery, in my opinion, works. And, people can agree to disagree with me, but I think that on the fundamental level, for those of you experiencing higher forms of harassment, that you are dealing with a spiritual dimension. I was looking at some of the comments from people on the video on this guy's show. He was trying to figure out how all these things work together, and some of the comments were just scary because, you are dealing with, everything from, old people to little children and stuff like that. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how, some of you are being harassed. I've seen a lot of these things. I've even seen people that were literally mentally handicapped involved in harassment. I'm not going to go into that. That's just crazy. But it is crazy, and it's meant to drive people crazy. People talk about getting attacked in traffic or being mobbed at the local grocer, or, attacked at, maybe a doctor's appointment, or just in a random place in public. And I've talked about before how there's that crescendo effect, where, there you are. You have that mental narrative, and you might be getting stressed. All kinds of thoughts are popping into your mind. And, the tension is starting to build, and the chaos around you is starting to mount up. It just doesn't seem possible. How is it that all these things could be orchestrated together? How is it that this symphony around you could work? And, I've talked about this before, that, we are probably, and I don't know this for sure, experiencing all these things in delay somehow. These things are planned out in advance, and the proof is when you're dealing with like prophetic events. And I'm not just talking about Bible prophecy. I'm not, okay, because I don't think God is involved in this kind of thing at all. I think that He allows it. He allows free will. What I'm talking about is the kingdom of darkness, okay? And they do all that stuff. It's forbidden. I've talked about it before. I've mentioned it a million times. When Paul and Silas got thrown into prison, why were they there? They were there because they cast the demon out of the servant girl, and her masters were so angry because, they made a lot of money off this chick, and she was a prophet. She was, very famous and well-known for, foretelling future events. Okay, well, what does that give you a clue of? That these things are literally planned out in advance. Okay? If nothing else, it's like dominoes. One hits one and the other one goes down, and it's a chain reaction. Things can be, plotted out in advance, at the very least, just by the logic of cause and effect. I hear too many times where people will go simply to the explanation of the government or to technology. And I've talked about that. I have nothing against, the technological explanations for a lot of this stuff. People are dealing with V2K. They're dealing with energy weapons. They're dealing with people on cell phones. They're dealing with all kinds of things. But the thing is that not all the technology that's out there is known by us. And it came from somewhere. We didn't just figure it out all of a sudden. We didn't just become intelligent. Look back into history. You can see that people, they just didn't have the technological advances that we are now. That gets to talking about Bible prophecy, because a lot of people go back to the book of Daniel, or they'll look into things, and it appears that it would basically suggest that we are in that final time. We don't know, but we are definitely moving towards it. And then there are people who talk about, no, they had technology way back when, and they found, maybe somebody that was making a battery out of, citrus acid and copper, or, some other type of artifact that is advanced. And I believe that really speaks to the same answer. Okay. What would you do if, you were the kingdom of darkness, if you, could try to, stifle prophecy somehow? Because I've talked about that too, that when God says things are going to happen in advance, he is proclaiming his sovereignty and his power. And it's also kind of a challenge, isn't it? And you got to think about that. So if you're finding things like that, maybe, with the Nephilim and things like that, with the mixing of, spirit beings and humans, maybe they tried to push this forward to throw off the prophetic time clock. And when you see that kind of stuff, and you see the manifestation of technology, you are looking at an attempt of the kingdom of darkness to throw off that plan. And I think, that really brings the concern of prayer to mind. When you are praying, the prayers that you prayed yesterday, for example, they're going to have long-lasting effects, right? There's things that you need to pray for every day. You live in a dispensation of time. And those things, it's kind of like every night when the sun goes, and the world is black, you have it's like a miniature death. The death of the day is what I call it. And, the next day begins, and you kind of start over. Okay, you have all these little cycles. And, when you're dealing with this stuff, you're dealing with things that are planned out in advance. You know that there are plans. You know that there are, principalities and powers, if you're going by the Bible, that are ruling the world, and that God is ultimately sovereign. And when you're praying, you are, putting out your 2 cents, if you will. You are interacting with that in advance, and you have to remember that. And it's not as if you need to have the expectation that God is going to just, fix everything, okay? Because we know and we can see throughout history and just throughout your lifetime that God is working things out. He's not determining all these things. He is working with them. And I think that displays his power. However, for someone just to come to the conclusion that, because of the unlimited resources and the nature of the organized attack against you, that it's the government or maybe just a secret society, then now you are forced into a position. Now everyone is in collusion. They're working for the government consciously. These things, have to be logistically played out in real time to the point where, the manpower and the surveillance would just be, ridiculous. The whole thing just simply doesn't work. And when you're getting into, the secret societies and stuff like that, you're dealing with elements of how these things are playing out, and the fingers that are behind this whole symphony of harassment that you're involved in. We'll just say that you're one of those people that, you are getting, attacked by the government, because it can manifest through those things, right? It can manifest through the occult. It can manifest through a secret society. But really, that's just a part of it. That's not the whole picture, right? That's just part of the little puzzle that you're dealing with. And to think that everyone is in, a conscious collusion, trying to logistically figure all these things out, depending on what you're doing. If you're one of those people, for example, that you have, and you could probably look back into your past and see this symphony of harassment. And we'll just say you get up in the morning, you get harassed, maybe, by people in your neighborhood. Then you go to, we'll say, the grocer or your bank, or you'll go to work or whatever. And it just seems though it's nonstop. And the assumption that people come up with is all these people are, in communication with each other. They're watching you via some type of, satellite or helicopter surveillance, that they have, maybe drones following you or something, or they have a computer chip and they are looking, through your eyes literally, and they're watching you, or they can read your mind or what. And all those things are interesting, but it makes a whole lot more sense just to look at this from a biblical angle, that, you're dealing with a symphony. You are dealing with the powers of the kingdom of the underworld. You are dealing with things that are literally plotted out and planned. And really the only way to escape is, by seeking God and asking him to help you. That's kind of the message from the Bible for everybody, even if you're not a targeted individual. And at this point, to argue with the logistical nature of what you're dealing with, if you're one of those targeted individuals who is experiencing the higher levels of harassment, would just simply be denial at that point. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They are, stifled by a lot of things. There are a lot of illusions out there. There are a lot of charlatans. There are a lot of things that seem contradictive, but that is basically where faith comes in. And I think God allows that for that reason. It's not that everything is going to be fixed. You just have to pray that God will give you strength to keep going. You can only do what you can do, but you do have to know what you're dealing with. And you have to know who you are dealing with. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe.